Hi, welcome to the Frugal Frau. I'm Sukey, your host, and today we're going to show you how to make a simple lap joint using hand tools. Now, before we get started, please like, subscribe, comment, and ask questions, and we will do our best to answer those as we receive them. So, let's get started. First, make sure the two pieces to be joined with the half lap are of equal thickness. Clearly mark the two pieces to be joined. We marked both front faces with the letters F and B. Piece F gets the lap cut out of its back face, and piece B gets the lap cut out of its front face. Use piece F to measure the length of the lap to be cut from piece B. A simple mark with the point of a knife, then line up a square and score the mark so that your final joint will be perfectly square. Deepen the mark. Now make another mark a short distance from the end of piece B. Score a line using a square. This little bit is to preserve a shoulder upon which the router plane will ride near the end of the cutting process. It will be cut away to finish the entire lap cut. Deepen the score lines by cutting into them from the side that will be cut away. Tom is marking with a pencil the lap joint area to be cut away. It's not necessary, but if you're new to this process, it'll be helpful and keep you from making mistakes. Find the depth center of your stock by using a marking gauge to measure the exact depth. Move the gauge to a point as close as possible to half of that depth and mark a point from both the front and back faces of the piece from which you will cut the half lap. Sometimes you get lucky and find the center exactly. If you don't, then you can usually eyeball between the two marks that you make from either face, and that will be a very accurate center. Tom got lucky here. Use a square to score a line through the center depth mark across the width of the wood. Then set the router plane depth to this mark and score down the length of the lap joint to be cut along either edge of the stock. Use a square to mark the length of the lap joint cut to the center line along the edge. Exaggerate that line by cutting into it from the inside portion that's going to be cut away anyways. Repeat this process on the little portion that you are leaving to use as a shoulder for the router plane to ride upon. Next, repeat this on the other edge, then place your stock into the vise with the face up from which you are cutting out the front lap. Then saw just down to the center line that you marked with the router plane, and this will help you be able to easily chip away a lot of the waste before you use the router plane. Make parallel cuts in the same manner into the center portions of where you're going to be cutting out the lap joint. How many you make is up to you. Use your favorite chisel to start cutting away the waste. Cut down to just above the depth line. Be careful not to cut below this line. Keeping your chisel beveled down will help prevent cutting too deep. Don't try to take all the waste away at once. Just work gently with it. Now he's just using the flat side down, but he is pointing it up as he's doing it so he doesn't dig or dive into the place where the center line is marking the depth. As you get close to the line, just gently chisel away kind of flat to get rid of a lot of waste. At this point, you can now pick up your router plane and start cleaning out the waste. And you may have to go back and forth between using the chisel and the router plane. And notice how he's keeping the chisel very flat on that cut, because he doesn't want to destroy it by cutting too deep or deeper than the router plane is set to. And gently scrape it off with the router plane. Here he's just cutting away a few little ditzels with the chisel. And now he's going to chisel away that little shoulder because it's not needed any longer. He's just going to finish the lap with the chisel. Again, notice how Tom is keeping the flat side of the chisel very level with the rest of the cut, except right there he flipped to the other side to remove a bunch of waste, but so as not to dig into or past what the router plane has smoothed out. He's keeping it very flat with the flat side down. Repeat the entire process, cutting the front piece or the top piece of this lap next. Then test fit them. Tom is pointing out a small gap in the face of the joint. Tom determined that there was unevenness in the cut at the bottom of the lap and fixes that by using a large chisel flat side against the portion to be cut and slicing it perpendicular to the face. You can always check this by holding up a square to the flat face of the chisel and front face of the wood stock. Tom didn't do it here because he's pretty experienced at cutting these. And now you can see that it fits much tighter. Glue up the joint using wood glue. Tom has his wood glue squeeze bottle marked 100% Moose byproducts. A little humor in the wood shop is always fun. And he's makes sure those little vertical edges get glue on it. And he presses it together. Now he's going to lightly clamp it. And he puts a little piece on top, little extra scrap that is, so that he doesn't ding up the wood with the clamp. And the reason why you're not tightening this down thoroughly is because before you do, you want to make sure that you have the joint perfectly square. So take a tri-square, place it into the inside corner, and then just gently adjust it if it's not square to make sure that it's perfectly square. Once it is, you can tighten up that clamp all the way. And just leave it until the glue is dried and set. Now that the clamp is cinched down, just wipe off the excess glue. If there is some unevenness on the final outside joint, it can be planed off after the glue has set and the clamp has been removed. And here is the final lap joint, looking very good.